Listen to what your trainer tell you. Listen to the old timers. I mean, just because they older don't mean they don't know what they talking about. You trying to get where they are, where they once were. So in order for you to get where they once were, to listen. That's never been hit like that before a day in my life. I'm from Philly. I don't care. I'll fight you with one leg if I have to. They be saying to me like, "Well, coach, how you know so much?" Big dummy. Whatever you trying to do, I done did it already.
YouTube, what it do? It's your boy Chris from BWC, and you're now boxing with Chris. Before I start this segment off, I want to thank the subscribers. I want to thank everybody that's been liking, commenting on our content, just checking us out, liking, subscribing, and just, the genuine love has been amazing. And today's episode of On the Ropes, joining me, Philly native from the 215. OG, triple OG. He is in the Philly Boxing Hall of Fame with a great amateur career. Had the upset and fight of the year, 1998. Joining me today, Ivan Mighty Robinson. Put him in there. OG!
What's good?
What's good, man? How you doing, man?
I'm good.
It's that gym work today, man. Talk to me. How was your day, man? Before we got, how's your day, man? Talk to me, man.
You know how it is, man. Trying to get these guys to do the right thing, but it is what it is. That's why I signed up for this.
So I get you. So what you doing right now? Just the youth, or you doing all around training?
All around.
All right. So before we start, man, I gotta get to the question, man. Talk to me. I know, but to the people, man. Talk to everybody. Where you from?
I'm from the city that they used to call Brotherly Love, Philadelphia.
The 215.
That's it. Or 267.
So talk to me. You got any siblings or?
I got 3 boys, 3 girls. My fiance Stephanie Tab, she upstairs right now. I got my own company right now. It's a mighty thing. Manage a kid named Dominique Mayfield. I train a kid named Jayon Tenen, which is known as Showtime. And I got another young kid that's coming up. I think it's going to be a real good hot prospect. Well, Jayon is coming along too. He's 118. And the other kid, Jalik Holden, he's 126. He's 3-0 with 2 knockouts. And Showtime, Jayon is 1-0. And Dominique Mayfield is 2-1.
All right. So you working. So talk to me. Before was boxing something you always wanted to do, or how did you get an introduction to the sport?
It's crazy. Of course, my dad. Well, not of course, but my dad started me when I was young. Like when I was he used to tell me when I was young, like 3. I used to get in the bed with him, and I used to always hold his hand up like this, and I used to hit it. So he said I kept doing it every night before I had to go to bed, to go to sleep, go to school in the morning. So he said when I turned 5, he just decided to take me to the gym. And he took me to the gym. And, a young kid not knowing what's going on is kind of fascinated with the bags and all that. I used to hit the bags and, go do like a 2-minute spurt, then go sit down, get up, go get some juice, get some water, come back. So I did that for a couple years. Then I think about I'm going to say around 10 or 11, he actually put me into my first competition. I don't really know how it was. I didn't really start fighting that I know of, competing, till I was 13 or 14. And then, they put me in the Pennsylvania Golden Gloves and all that. When I first fought in the Pennsylvania Golden Gloves, I think I was 16. I made it all the way to the States. Then the following year, I said I was going to come back and I was going to win it all. That year, I came back. I think that the first year I fought was 96. No, hold on, let me see. My fault. 86, 87, somewhere around there. Then 89 was my second year in Pennsylvania Golden Gloves. I made it all the way to the Pennsylvania Golden Gloves to the Nationals, which was in if I'm not mistaken, I think it was in Knoxville, Tennessee. Um, that's the first year that I met Mark Johnson, Sean Bay Mitchell. You know, I met all those guys. I made it to the finals in the Golden Gloves the first year. I lost to Emmett Linton from Tacoma, Washington. He had won it the year before that. And when I lost to him, you know, it really hurt me real bad. You know, I cried and everything. And he told me, he said, "Man, don't worry about it." He said, "Man, you're a good fighter. You come back the next year and you're gonna do good." So the next year I went back, but eventually I ran into a foe of mine that I would go on for many years to have a crash with and become teammates with, which was Oscar De La Hoya. I fought him in the finals that year, lost to him. And then after that, I decided to go open. I went open. The next year, we fought, and I didn't go to the Golden Gloves. I said, forget the Golden Gloves. I fought in the USA Championships. I fought Oscar in the finals again. Everybody thought I beat him, but he won. So it was just ironic that we messed around and we fought in the U.S. Nationals. That the following year was the year of the Pan American. Well, I'm not gonna really say the Pan American Games, but it was the World Games. And of course, again, I met Oscar, and I lost to him. I lost to him again, but you know, he was a golden boy. You know, it was nothing really I could do. He made me kind of mad because that was the second time I lost to him, and he had said to the reporters and I guess to the world that he didn't understand why a kid would stay in the same weight division and lose to a kid twice and not move up. And I told him when I lost to him the second time, I said, I don't know what it is. I said, I hear they call you the golden boy or whatever, but eventually I got your number, and that's why we keep fighting. And I told him the next time I fight him, I was gonna knock him out. We happened to fight in what was it? The Goodwill Games. That was nationally wide. That was in Vegas when Vegas first opened the what's that arena? What's that? Mandalay Bay. That's when they first opened the Mandalay Bay, and I fought down there. I met Ray Leonard, I met Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, Tommy Hearns, George Foreman. I met all those guys down there that night. And me and Oscar were it was the runner-up and the champion. Oscar was the champion. I was the runner-up from USA. It was two Cubans. No, my fault. It was one Cuban and two Russians. He fought, I can't remember who he fought that night, but I messed around and I fought the number 2 Russian. I beat him. Oscar beat, I think, somebody from Korea or something. So that made me and Oscar fight again in the finals. 2 Americans, first time it ever happened. 2 Americans fighting for the Goodwill Games to go see who was going to represent USA in Goodwill Games. Of course, again, I lost to him again. But with that loss right there, I think it really catapulted me to everybody knowing who I was and what I could do, and that if Oscar was going to compete for that 125-pound weight category going to the Olympics, he was going, excuse my expression, he was going to catch hell. So what happened, and it's crazy, after we fought and he beat me, he moved up in weight. He moved up to 132. So it pretty much gave me a lane, like 125 pounds was mine, because I had beat the Cuban. No, my fault. I lost to the Cuban, but the Cuban ran from me. So everybody knew that it was going to really be a big fight if we ever fought again. And I felt as though we was going to fight in the Olympics. I knocked out the Korean. I beat the Russian. Who else did I beat? The German. I knocked the German out. So it was really nobody in that weight category who would have really gave me too much trouble at 125 pounds worldwide. So what happened? Oscar moved up to 32. I moved up. I stayed at 125. Oscar was telling everybody it was hard for him to make 125. That's why he moved up to 32. But honestly, excuse my expression, Oscar didn't want to take no more ass whooping.
Yeah,
Even though he was getting a decision, he was getting his ass whooped. But it was a great combination, man. It was supposed to be really. It was supposed to be three Olympics. I mean, three gold medals in '92. It was supposed to have been Eric Griffin who got beat. I think he got beat his first night. I'm not sure because I didn't. What happened was um, when we fought for the Eastern Olympic trials to go to the Olympics, I lost to a guy named Julian Wheeler, which a lot of people didn't think that I lost to him. A lot of people thought I beat him. I thought I beat him too, but I never understood how he got the decision over me. But he did. So he went on to go out to the Olympics. And what was crazy about it, he lost to the Russian that I knocked out. So that tells you right then and there what would have happened. But it was supposed to be Eric Griffin at 106, me at 125, and Oscar at 132. It was supposed to have been three gold medals. But I lost in the U.S. championships. I mean, in the Olympic trials and box offs to the kid Julian Wheeler. Eric Griffin went to win it, but he lost out in Olympics. I never got a chance to go. Oscar De La Hoya was the only one to win a gold medal. My man Chris Bird, I think he either won a silver or a bronze, but I think he was one of the ones that went pretty high. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he won a silver. So with that saying, I was the Olympic alternate at 125, and I wasn't going. I was just mad. They was trying to get me to go. They said it was going to be a good trip. They thought it would be a good experience for me, but I didn't want to do it. I mean, from 89 to 92, I traveled with the number one U.S. Olympic team. It's about every big tournament that they went to or every big duel they had. I was there. Like when we fought the Cubans, I was there earlier that year for the 92 pre-trial Olympics. I went out there and fought. For some reason, I lost to the Korean by 2 points, which they didn't count the 2 points that I scored before the end of the round. I never got credit for it. If I would have got credit for it, I would have won, but I didn't get credit for it, so I lost. And it was just, it was just so much. I didn't feel like that if I would have went to the if I would have been an alternate, I don't think that it would have really it wouldn't have really helped me because I was already mad. I was already upset. I felt like they robbed me. And it just would have been, to me, it would have just been a headache going. And it would have been a smack in the face because I already had told them when they was like, well, you the alternate, you can go. They talking about, well, it could have been like when I think it was 64 when George Foreman went. When Joe Frazier went, Ali got hurt or somebody got hurt and I could take the place. I said, no, that would never happen. I said, because of the simple fact, if y'all guys would have let me spar Julian Wheeler and me knowing already that he beat me when he didn't beat me, it wouldn't have been a pretty look in camp because I would have tried to kill him every time I sparred him. So I decided to stay home and not watch the Olympics and turn pro.
So, did you have an idol growing up when you were growing up in boxing during the amateurs, during your Olympic run? Was there a boxer you looked up to?
Well, I'm old school, so around that time, you talking about the early '90s. I was still fascinated with the guys like Hearns, Leonard, Hagler, Mike, Meldrick. But what my biggest my biggest idol, if you talking about me, not really trying to cop their style, but looking at I looked at a lot of Sugar Ray Robinson.
All right.
I was really fascinated with his ability and his skills, and I pretty much thought that Leonard had that too. The same thing that Robinson had. I just thought they was two of the great boxers, pure boxers in their era and at their time.
And who guided you along the way during your Olympic amateurs? Was there somebody that you had consistently in your corner that
My
anytime
dad,
your dad?
yeah,
So that's good. That's good.
but he never boxed.
Hey man, but he knew the ropes, man. If he obviously could keep you around that long, but you know, it ain't what you know, is who you know, right? OG.
Exactly.
And then your debut, do you remember your debut? Were you nervous?
Yes, I was.
What was that like?
But eventually, I can say, well, of course, I'm from Philly. Um, I had one of my good friends from Atlantic City was Evander Johnson. I mean, Lavander Johnson. His whole family, the whole city, you know, whole Atlantic City state, however you want to say it. We spent a lot of time down there sparring with those guys, and like when we had shows in Philly and tournaments and stuff, they always competed with us. So, I grew accustomed to those guys. We all became family, and so like that was a big blow too when Evander Johnson got killed. And after the fight, when he died after the fight, I ain't gonna say he got killed. Well, he did take a lot of beating. He did take a pretty bad beating in that fight. And I think a lot of the trauma that he took is what, caused him to pass away. But Lavander was a great guy. I loved his family. So Atlantic City was like my second home. So when I made my debut, my manager got me to fight on a card in Atlantic City. Actually, I had signed with Bobby Goodman, who was co I could say co-promoter, right hand man of Don King. No, I never signed with Don King. I was always with Bobby Goodman, and Bobby Goodman was with Madison Square Garden at the time. Um, Let me see. I'm gonna say I fought for him about 3 times, and then for some reason, his company folded, and the matchmaker name at the time was Carl Moretti, who's top ranks big matchmaker now. I knew Carl since I was like what I turned pro at 21. I must have knew Carl about since I was like 19, 18. So when they folded, because he was the matchmaker for Bobby Goodman, when everybody was folding and leaving and going their separate ways, Carl Moretti asked Bobby Goodman, could he take me with him? And Bobby said, yeah. So Carl Moretti got the job with Main Events at the time, who signed Pernell Whitaker, Meldrick Taylor, Evander Holyfield, Mark Breland. He asked me, could I go over there with him? And Bobby told him, yeah. And it was all she wrote. I mean, Carl Moretti was and probably still is one of the best matchmakers in the world. He took me up there, got me great fights, man. And we had some really, really great fights along in my career.
And do you remember? Because I gotta ask this for all the OGs. You remember your first big payday and what you spent? What was your first big purchase?
Yeah, my first. Well, yeah and no, because it's crazy. My first big, because around the time that I got my big payday, me and my dad had kind of like wandered off from each other. We separated. It was getting kind of bad there. So we didn't we was kind of like at heads there. But what did happen was I did go back to my mom and dad, and I tried to get them to purchase a house, but my mom and dad never wanted to move. So about 6 months after that, I think that's when I went and got my first house. And at the time, which was crazy, because I'm young, dumb, crazy, don't know what's going on, just think money is just anything. My trainer at that time was Bowie Fisher, who trained Bernard Hopkins. And at the time, Bernard Hopkins was like on a standstill. It was hard for him to get fights. People didn't want to fight him. And his trainer, Bowie Fisher, was his head guy. And it was like I said, it was like in a standstill. And he wasn't getting no work. He didn't really have nobody that he really looked up to or he wanted to take up on his wing. But for some reason, when me and my dad had that little spat, my head trainer, which was Odell Cathay, said that he needed somebody in the corner with him that he could gel with, somebody he would listen to, somebody would listen to him. And Bowie Fisher was that dude. So Bowie was older. He was way older. He was older than my head trainer, Odell. And Bowie been around. He had Bernard Hopkins. He had Jesse Ferguson. He had Will Stretch Taylor. He had a whole gang of guys, man. So like his wisdom, really helped me to prevail to do the things that I needed to do. Also, I was the type of kid I listened. You know what I'm saying? Even though a lot of times I was like, man, fuck that. But I listened to what Bowie was saying. And I never forget when we signed the contract to fight Gaddy. He had said to me, he was like, look, because we fought Gaddy twice. The first fight was like, they didn't really expect me to beat him. So, they was offering us some little small money. So my trainer Bowie was like, look, man, he was like, I got all the confidence in you in the world. He like, I want you to go out here and do exactly what you need to do. And your money, I want you to take your money and put it to the side because you're gonna stack up. There's gonna be bigger and better things for you after this. So I kind of listened, but I was like, how he know what's gonna happen? Yo, it happened. After we fought the first Gaddy fight, they wanted a second one. So we got a second one, and we got a second one. And the second one, I'm not telling you no numbers, but the second one was 4 times bigger than what the first one was. And I'll never forget it. When we signed for the contract and we signed out and we found out how much money we was getting, I was married at the time. My trainer told me to tell my wife to go look for a house. I was like, what? He like, make sure she go get y'all get a house. He was like, because you need something that's gonna help you down the line, something that you're gonna be proud about, and something that you worked hard in doing. And to this day, I still say that Mr. Bowie Fisher always planted in my head what was the best thing for me to do, because I probably would have blew that money doing something crazy.
Mm-hmm. So recap, man, what was it like to share the ring with a guy like Gotti? A guy that he was skilled, but in the boxing, he's really known for his heart, his determination and not giving up. You coming into an underdog has that fight. What was your game plan for the fight? What was something in your corner that you guys saw in him that you guys could exploit?
Well, first of all, let me tell you how the fight happened. The fight happened was I had fought this is before the Gaddy fight. I must have fought about 3 to 4 months before the Gaddy fight. My manager, because we had just lost to Israel Pito Cardona, I had just fought Philip Holiday for the world title. A lot of people thought I won that fight. I thought I won it, but we didn't get it. So after that, and I kind of thank God for putting me in the position I'm in right now, because like I tell all my fighters, tell them all, no matter what, the best thing they have going for them as fighters and as a human being and as a man is that 2 things. One, you got me training you, which, I don't feel as though I'm bigger than anybody or I'm better than anybody. But the thing that 9 times out of 10 that makes my fighters very unique and different is that they have a coach that knows the boxing game. They have a coach that went through everything that they're about to go through or anything they're trying to do or anything they want to do. I probably done it already. So they want. That's why a lot of times they be saying to me like, "Well, coach, how you know so much?" Big dummy, whatever you trying to do, I done did it already. So I'm gonna advise you. I'm gonna advise you not to do it. You see what I'm saying? But to make the to get back to what we said, what I was saying, yeah, we had Fort Philip Holiday, and then I lost to Philip Holiday, and then Frank Gelb, who was a promoter at the time, had Israel Peter Cardona, and I think Israel Peter Cardona was like rated number 3, and by me just losing the to Philip Holiday, I had dropped to number 3 world. He was number 3 by the USBA, which was in line for my title. So what happened? They wanted that fight. You know me coming off the loss, my head is everywhere than where it's not supposed to be. So we signed for the fight, but me not thinking, I'm already like 15, 20 pounds overweight. I signed for the fight. What I should have did was what I didn't do. We had an argument about it because they kept saying that I wasn't gonna make weight, and I told them I was gonna make weight, which I did make weight, but I made weight, and not thinking about how I was gonna make the weight. I made the weight wrong. I got down too fast, and I was too weak. Now, what I didn't know back then was that I didn't really have to take that fight with him. I could have just vacated the title and let him fight somebody else for the title and win the title if he was gonna win it. But you know, I'm from Philly. I don't care. I'll fight you with one leg if I have to. But to make the long story short, I lost the title, and I was devastated. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I wasn't even sure if I was gonna fight again. But my managers and them talked me to taking another fight. I took another fight. The fight wasn't hard. I made the fight hard. And what that's saying is I made the fight so hard that I didn't listen, that it suffered to make me, it made me to a point where I got a cut over my eye. Before 8 rounds, I stopped him in the 7th. So we was cool. The cut wasn't that bad, but it was a little cut. So what happened was Shane Mosley was about to fight. Shane Mosley was coming to Philly to fight. And a couple of my friends were saying to me, it was like, yo, Ivan, why is Shane Mosley coming to Philly to fight? And he bringing somebody else in here to fight, but he not fighting you. Man, that's a smack in the face. So I'm sitting there like saying to myself, like, you know what? That's kind of right. So I called his promoter up and was like, yo, why y'all coming in here to Philly to fight and y'all looking beyond me? And the promoter was like, man, we ain't worrying about you, man. You just lost the fight, although you just won. We don't need you, this, that, and that. So he had a press conference. I went to the press conference. When I went to the press conference, his opponent wasn't there. They wasn't flying him in. So, you know, Shane Mosley was there by himself with everybody else who was fighting on the card. So I went down to the press conference. Me and Shane Mosley had it out at the press conference. We had it out so bad that Shane said, fuck the guy he was fighting. He wanted to fight me. So they put me in his slot. I went to the gym. I was already in the gym, but I went to the gym even more. Now I stepped up the tempo of the fight so me and him can fight. Now remember, I got cut. I ain't thinking about the cut or nothing. All I want to do is fight Shane Mosley because Shane was a guy that I wanted to fight in the amateurs too. Even though Shane was a good dude, I still wanted to fight Shane. I was the type of guy, I want to put my talent against other guys because I think I'm just as good as them. So we made the fight. I never forget it was at the Leah Core Center. The Spectrum where the Sixers and them played at, this, that, and them. Now, he was supposed to fight the other guy. The tickets was kind of so-so. But when me and him made that announcement that we was going to fight, we sold the whole arena out. I went in the gym, started training for the fight. I'll never forget it. My cut man, Leon Tabs, told me that the cut over my eye wasn't bad. Told me to get butterfly stitches just to cover it up into the hill by the time the fight, because we still had like another 4 or 5 weeks before the fight. So my trainer, my cut man had told me we was gonna be good. My trainers and them got me, the masks that they wear now in training. My dad went out and got me one of them. I did not like that mask. It's like every time a guy hit me on top of the forehead with the up against the mask, it rubbed up against my face. I didn't like it, and then on top of it, I had trouble seeing out of it. So I think I did like 4 or 6 rounds with it. When I took it off, my cut had reopened, and I had to get out. I had to step out the fight. I had to postpone the fight. We postponed the fight. The city was mad. Everybody was mad. The mayor, everybody was mad because that was a big time for us here in the city. So I had to pull out, and they got the guy that he eventually was going to fight. He fought him. He stopped him. Shane had said to me that he would fight me, but he wasn't going to fight me in Philly. I think I had to go to California to fight him. I didn't really want to go to California because I know this is hometown, but I took it because of the simple fact he was going to fight me here. What happened was my manager wanted to get me a tune-up before that, but we couldn't get no fight. Gaddy had just came off from losing to no, my fault. Gaddy, this is how I went. Floyd fought Angel Manfredi, and I seen that night. And I had said to my manager, I was like, why can't we get a Floyd fight? He was like, no, right now, I don't think that's going to be suitable for you. So I'm like, yo, we'll fight anybody right now. I don't care who it is. We'll fight anybody. Gaddy had just beat what's that kid name? The twin brother, the two brothers Gonzalez. He knocked him out. So Gaddy couldn't get a fight. They wanted him to have an easy fight to get in line for the Floyd fight because Floyd just beat Manfredi. So me and my manager seen that. So I said to my manager, I was like, yo, see if you can get us a fight. I didn't say the Gaddy fight. I just said a fight. And we were still like, kind of like with main events. Now, Gaddy already was signed with main events. So we sitting there saying like, who can we fight? I'm like, it don't matter who we fight. I don't care. I just want to get back in the ring. So a week went by, 2 weeks went by. I'm in the house. I'm in the gym, but I'm not in the gym that hard. But I'm in the gym working and waiting for a fight. So my manager called me that night and was like, Ivan, when you get home from the gym, call me because I got some news for you. So I'm like, you can't tell me now? He like, no, I can't tell you now. Call me when you get home. So I must have got home about 11:30. I called him. So his name was Eddie Woods. So I'm like, what's up, Ed? He like, yo, man, I got a fight for you. I'm like, damn, about time, man. I'm like, this good. I got the phone to my ear. I'm sitting in the living room. He like, I got a fight. He all excited about it, but I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, who the hell he got? He all excited about it. So when he told me, he's like, you won't bet who it is. So I'm like, who? He like, Arturo Gaddy. I looked at the phone like, huh? Who did you say? He like, Arturo Gaddy. I said, you're not talking about from Jersey City? He like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, let's make it happen. He was like, you sure? I said, yeah. Hung up the phone, waited for him to call me back. He called me back about 1:30. Was like, Ivan, the fight is set. I'm like, that's good. Told all my friends and everything about the fight. They was like, yo, you get ready to fight Gaddy or Arturo Gaddy? I'm like, yeah. They like, man, that's a hell of a fight. I'm like, yup, and I'm gonna beat his ass. It was like, all right, let's go. So we went into camp for the fight. We was really training, but we wasn't training hard. When we signed for the fight, we went to New York. They had a big press conference in New York, and we was signing up there in front of. Come to find out, Lou DiBello made the fight. Lou DiBello and Gary Shaw. They was the two that made the fight. So we went up there to sign the contract for the fight. They had a press conference. We sitting there at the press conference. I'm on one side, Gaddy on the other side. So of course, Gaddy the man. So they like, we're gonna let Ivan Robinson speak first before we let Arturo Gaddy speak. So, they asked me like, yo, what you think about the fight? This, that, and that was. I'm like, the fight is gonna be a great fight. Arturo Gaddy is a warrior. I said, I'm coming and I'm gonna give a show. I said, I'm gonna come out there and I'm gonna do what I do best. So said everything. So I had my best friend with me, which was my right hand man. He did everything for me. He took care of everything I need to take care of. When it came to the camp with the money, he took care of all that. So now it's Gaddy turn to talk. So they like Gaddy, Ivan Robinson, he's a good boxer. He just lost to Israel Cardona and he lost a world title shot, this, that, and other. Gaddy gets on the post like, yeah, he's a good fighter, but I'm gonna knock him out. I'm sitting there looking at him like, damn, you talking about me like that? He like, I'm gonna knock him out. He ain't got what it takes. Then he was like, how does a guy like him bring knives to a gunfight? I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is he talking about? So, we said all that. We stood up. We took pictures. We shook hands. We did our little face off. You know what I'm saying? He had that little mean look, whatever. I'm like, man, I ain't worried about that. So we gets in the car because my manager, he normally drive everywhere, but I guess this is a big fight or whatever. He decided to rent a limo. So we took a limo up and a limo back. So we all get in the car to go back to Philly. So I'm thinking now, as the whole time we taking pictures and everything, shaking hands, I'm signing autographs. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what the hell did he mean bring knives to a gunfight? So when we get in the limo, I asked my right hand man, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. I asked his name Rennie. I said, Rennie, I said, what the hell did Gaddy mean by bring knives to a gunfight? And I'll never forget it. My man was like, yo, Mighty, because they call me Mighty. He was like, Mighty, you got to be the dumbest ass in the world. I'm like, what are you talking about? He like, man, Gaddy, mean you can't punch, man. You ain't doing nothing. You ain't gonna do nothing but cut him up. I was like, oh, really? He was like, yeah, he just said you got fast hands, man. You can't punch. He was like, when he said who has the biggest guns, he was like, he got the biggest guns. That means he punched harder than you. I was like, okay. I swear to God, Chris, the whole time in camp, all I wanted to do was just pound the nigga face in. That's all I thought about. That's all I thought about.
So you won. You took the upset of the year and fight of the year in the same year. Was it for the first or for the second fight?
That was for the first fight. Hold up, let me see. The first fight I got. What we get? We got
98.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. Because we got fight of the year, upset of the year, and then we get another one. No, I think they was. I think they was the. Well, they was. You come on now. You got to. They was both the first fight because I was probably the only one, and I'm mad about it. I still had nightmares about that thing, man. I still say that I was a 4 or 5-1 underdog, man. I was the only one that went into the fight knowing that I had the opportunity to really beat this guy. And the reason why I'm mad, because you figured back then, a 5-1 underdog, you know how much money I would have made if I betted on myself, and I didn't. And then look, I still was in the second fight. I beat him the first fight. I think I beat him worse in the second fight than I did the first fight. But even in the second fight, after beating him the first fight, I was still a 3-1 underdog. Could you imagine how much money I would have made that fight too?
I mean, people didn't believe in you, but you did.
Right, but no, I couldn't have. Because damn it, if I'd have believed in myself, I'd have took all my money I had and would have betted on myself.
I mean, but you got to give the man his props. You whooped him up. Yeah. You whooped him up in the ring. I don't think it was
But look, let me tell you what's crazy. What's crazy about it now? Look, Gaddy was signed to main events. As I really could believe it, and I meant to ask my manager. He's still alive, so I'm gonna ask him too. But I never had a written signed contract that said I was part of main events because all main events fighters had some type of sticker or logo that said main events. I never had anything. And then on top of that, the whole thing, what was crazy about it was I was in camp when I fought Philip Holiday. Guess who I was in camp with?
Gotti.
Gaddy and Sweet Pea Whitaker.
Oh,
And I never ever sparred Gaddy. So I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, you talk about you talk about promoters, you talk about matchmakers. At the end of the day, regardless of what we say about them or how we think about them, they got to be the smartest people in the world because they had to see something. Because come on, I was with main events from 90. I turned pro in 92. I'm going to say I was with the main events from 94 to all the way when me and Gaddy fought. We fought 98.
Yeah.
I was with main events from 92 to 98, fighting on all their cars, never had a signed contract with them. So they had to have some type of idea that somewhere down the line, me and Gaddy was going to fight each other, or they was thinking of it. Because look, I fought on Gaddy card when he fought his first title defense. Yeah, after he beat before he fought Tracy Patterson, he fought a kid in Secaucus. I fought on that same card he fought on. Gaddy was the main event. I was the semi windup, and that was on USA TV. That was my first television fight. I was 15-0 with 10 knockouts or 8 knockouts, something like that. And I fought a kid named can't think of his name right now, but he was 23-1 with 15 knockouts. And when I went out there and destroyed it. So, for me and Gaddy to be around that long, man, and never spar each other, and then we messed around and fought each other, that was crazy. That was really crazy.
So you had all that history with De La Hoya within the Olympics, the amateurs, the gold.
And
how did a fight like you and him never happen? That's what I need to know.
Because he was riding a high horse. You figure when he came out of the Olympics, and anybody will tell you that, everybody will tell you that, when he went to the Olympics, he was the golden boy. They expected him to win a gold medal, which he did. And he was probably one of the first kids ever, besides Meldrick and all them, because I think they got a package deal. But I know for a fact that when Oscar won his gold medal and he came home that day, he signed for $1 million, because I'll never forget when we was in camp training with the Olympic team and all that, and we were traveling all across the world. Lou Duva and them guys was the guys that was taking care of Oscar. They was sending Oscar money like every week, sending him like 10, 20,000 every week when we was going on trips, and Oscar was buying a whole bunch of stuff and spending money. Back then, man, that's when we was gambling like crazy. We was in our rooms gambling. Oscar used to have all his money and be betting and stuff. So, those was fun times, but, that's what happened when it came to Oscar. And then he fought, remember when he fought Jesse James Lehigh? And he knocked Jesse James Lehigh out? Guess who he was supposed to fight?
I'm guessing he was supposed to fight you.
He was supposed to, yeah, you're right. He was supposed to. Before he fought Jesse James Lehigh, that's one thing I can say about him. He was man enough to do that. He called me and asked me, did I want to fight? And I was like, you calling me to ask me, do I want to fight? I was like, yeah, I'll fight you. I was like, what we fighting for? He was like, well, I'll fight you for $250,000. I was like, for what? He like $250,000. I told my manager, I was like, what you think? My manager was like, no, we should get more money. I was like, all right, but I'll fight him for $250,000 if that's what he wants. Then he was like, no, I don't want to fight you for no more, because we were trying to get more money from him. Top ranking up was like, nah, we don't want to fight him. I like, well, we'll take the $250,000. He was like, nah, we cool. I like, so y'all want to fight me for $250,000? We said we want more, so now we bring it back down to $250,000, and y'all still said no. All right, man, go ahead. We cool. We didn't want to They didn't want to fight me. We didn't take it. But a lot of people say they feel as though that's where I made a mistake in my career. I was like, well, why? Because people saying that if I would have fought De La Hoya and lost to him, it would have made my stock go higher. I don't think so. I don't think it would have made my stock go higher because at that time when Oscar was offering me that money, of course that was the most money at that time for me to be getting. I think I was only like, I think I was like 13-0 at the time when he offered me that money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it would have definitely helped me, but in the long run, I made more money, a lot more money, and even though I only got one world championship fight, you figure the money that I made, nobody would have made that type of money unless they would have been fighting for a world title. So I believe my manager did a great job. Although people telling me he could have done a lot more better, but who cares? I mean, you do care, but I think I had a fabulous career, man. I think I've done great things. I've been all around the world, seen a lot of things, been many places. I fought all the top amateurs. Ain't no amateur I ducked. So I fought them all. And I came through with a bunch of great champions, came through with Chris Bird, De La Hoya, Eric Griffin, uh uh Montel Griffin, Larry Donald, a whole bunch. Sergio Reyes. I ain't even talking about the guys that was like second string guys, man. It was just a whole bunch of guys that I grew up with and I love. Like we just lost a good friend of ours, Sean Fletcher, who was in the Navy. He was a good amateur, a great amateur, not so good of a pro, but he had a great pro career. So I'm thankful for God for letting me, see those guys and be around those guys.
Nah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that the stock would have dropped the rise because I mean it went both ways with De La Hoya because I feel like the guys that beat him were the guys stock that rose. When Pacquiao beat him, that put Pacquiao on a pedestal, on a bigger pedestal. When
Well, you gotta look at how that was done. He fought, and then yeah, I mean, boxing is boxing. Boxing is a great sport. I've never take nothing away from boxing. Boxing has got me to where I'm comfortable in life. Um, I made some great decisions. I made some terrible decisions too. If you ask me would I do it all over again, hell, excuse my expression, hell no. I'll probably do it the same way I did it before, but I'll probably be a little more different on how I do it. Um, I probably will be a lot more humble than what I am now. I'm very humble now, but if I would have been humble more back then, I'd probably be bigger than what I am now. But that don't matter to me. When I was coming up, it didn't matter to me about me having a whole lot of money. It didn't matter about me making a whole lot of money. Me, I was the type of guy. I was just thankful for guys like you. I'm thankful for all the media who reaches out to me now and talk to me. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to do this. You ain't had to call me. You ain't had to reach out to me and ask me that I want to talk to you. You could have just walked. You could have just skipped by me. You could have went underneath me. Could have went around me. There's a lot of things you could have did. So I'm thankful for you just knowing my career, just knowing me, period, and reaching out to me. That's all that mattered to me. I'm not one of those guys that gotta have a whole lot of money or gotta have 50 cars or have a house with 40 bedrooms. Man, excuse my expression, that shit don't mean nothing to me. I'm a kid from Philly, from North Philly. I know what it was to be or have friends that had roaches in the crib, niggas ate cold oatmeal. That's the type of kid I am. I'm from Philly. I grew up like that. So it don't matter to me. But yes, I want the next generation to know what it's like for me to go through what I went through and do even bigger and better things, man. And all this killing and stuff that's out here in the world, man. I just wish it could just all stop.
No, I get. So obviously, you being from the Philly, a big boxing city,
Mm-hmm.
several greats have come after you. Danny Garcia, Bernard Hopkins was in the mix of your time, and now
Uh,
you got Jerome Boots Ennis. who you think can be the next king of Philly?
You just said it. Jerron Bruce Ennis. And Jerron Bruce Ennis is probably the champion for the next decade.
Oh,
Um, as long as he continues to do what he needs to do, you know what I'm saying? His dad is my era, maybe a little before me. He Bozy knows the tactics of boxing. He's been around a long time. He actually a little younger than my dad, so you know him and my dad are good friends. They got great chemistry together. You know, I just like seeing Bozy work. You know what I'm saying? His gym is right around the corner from the gym that I'm at. You know, so him being in the same area I'm in, has a son. He had three sons that know what it is when it comes to the boxing. All of them were great, but you know, like my dad had three boys too. I was the best out of all three of us, and Farad and Pooh, they great fighters, man. They my era. You know, we all came around together. They was bigger than me, but I'm still like they old head as they call me. But at the end of the day, Jerron is the one. You know, he's carrying that torch. And what I like about Jerron is that he's carrying the torch. People know that he's carrying the torch. He knows he has the torch. And he's just a great kid, man. A great human being. He's not arrogant. He's not selfish. He's not smart. He's not flashy as of right now. I'm hoping that that doesn't happen because, you know, somewhere along the line, we all get to the point where, you know, we smell ourselves. But I think with the family surrounding that he has, I think he's going to be good. I really do. I think he's going to be great. Um, the only thing that I don't really like about the boxing era period with everybody, and it's not just me, not just maybe you or the other sports writers or sports cast, but this is just how it is. We all need to stay in our own lanes. We all need to exactly look at what we need to be looking at and work with who we need to be working with and think about what's going on right now. Like for instance, Jerron is the future, of course, but everybody trying to tie him up with Spence, Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are great. You know what I'm saying? Those guys, but they got their own agenda. They got their own class. They got their own world. They're in their own lane. Why are we trying to put a young kid in another man's lane that he can be put in, but let him do him in his lane and let Spencer them do their thing in their lane.
you know what?
It just be better.
Though, it's because he's a problem, man, and it's like
oh yeah, ain't no doubt he's definitely a problem.
You should know as a fighter when you start escalating that transcendent talent, people have no choice but to put you there. Because after a while, there was like because if you ever notice after he knocked out Lipin Yates, there was okay, so what we gonna do about this Boots kid? Like it went from him being a second fight, and I just covered the Tank fight in DC, and he was the co-main, and it's like, you know, being in DC, it was like
home. He was being home.
You know, it was not far away from you guys, and he was. Yeah. People were just obviously disappointed that he didn't knock him out. You know, they think he wasn't cutting off the ring. Now they feel because he didn't stop a guy that was his weakness, a guy that can move, a guy with movement, a guy that wasn't standing in front of him. So
but see, you know what? You know what made it crazy with having my dad in my corner and training me at times? It came to the point that my dad was like, look, they're gonna talk about you regardless on what you do or how you do it. They're gonna talk about you at all. But the most important thing is you get rid of the person or you beat the person that's in front of you. Because If you don't and he beats you, then what?
Still
Uh,
the way.
oh, he shouldn't have been in there with that guy, or that guy beat him. And look, anybody they put in front of you, you supposed to get rid of them. It doesn't matter if the guy's 40-0, if the guy's 1-99. As a reason he's there in front of you. As a reason that they put this guy in front of you. They might have put him in front of you because they knew that he was gonna take everything that you had and give more, or he was gonna take and not give. You go out there and you do what you got to do to get rid of this guy, beat this guy. It doesn't matter. As long as you walk out that ring that night or after them 12 or 10 rounds as the winner, that's all that matters.
I get it, man. So when you were training, when you
Mm-hmm.
were pro, when did your career did you notice? Okay, I'm at the end of the career. Did you retire mentally first or physically?
I think, honestly, I never retired mentally. I think I retired physically because, of course, your mind is always going to be wanting to do it. Your mind is always going to be able to tell you that this is something you can do, but physically you're not gonna be able to do it no more. You know how many days and nights I'm in the gym working, and I'm in the gym from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, and I'm working with about 15 to 20 people every day. You know how many days now I train 5 days a week. No, hold up, three, hold up, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm in the gym about 5 days a week. I'm in the gym Monday through Thursday. I'm on Friday and Sunday. Like I said, I train about 15 to 20 people a day. You know how bad at times I be wanting to train. You know how bad some days my fighters come in the gym and it's just, and I understand it because it was days that I felt like that too. So guys, I understand some days I may give you a break, and then it's just other days I'll be just like, fuck it, no, I'm not giving you nothing, nigga. You gonna work today. And then they just be like, well, damn, coach won. No, nigga, you gonna work today. But do you know how bad I actually be wanting to get in the ring and just show them a little something? I mean, I show them that every day. I'm always showing them this, but I'm talking about physically putting these on, putting this on, putting this on, and getting in there and doing it. It's something that's in my blood. I want to do it every day. But physically, I probably could do it for about 4 or 5 rounds. But after that, it's a wrap. So I'm not gonna deprive myself of getting in there. Shit, one day it just may not click, and the fighter minds just get over it. That's all that needs to be written. Oh, I even got in the ring and he got his ass whooped. Nigga, you ain't gonna never see that happen to me. I'm cool.
I mean, so what kind of train on you? Because you got the hard coaches, you got the former fighters, you got guys like like Teddy Atlas that like they're the motivational. Like, what kind of coach are you? Being a pro fighter, do you just try to mimic the way you were trained so they can pick up your
No,
habits?
nah, you could. That's one thing I was taught and learned by my dad. And like I said, my dad is one of the ones. Uh, I don't know how many of. Well, I could say guys like Freddie Roach. Uh, those him and my dad. There's probably some more I can't really think of right off the top of my head because I'm talking to you and I don't want to really sit and think. But my dad and say Freddie Roach. Those are the old time teachers. They taught you how to box. They taught you how to fight. You know what I'm saying? We don't have them no more. No, we don't have them type of coaches no more. I don't see coaches actually sitting down teaching. And grab any fighter, grab a young fighter, and ask him, do he know how to step? Do he know how to turn with his shots? Do he know how to catch a shot? Do he know how to catch and counter? These are the things that was taught to us coming up. This was taught to me, was taught to Oscar, was taught to Shane Mosley. These are things that were taught to Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Tim Witherspoon, Bernard Hopkins. But these are the things that are not being taught no more nowadays. Like, for instance, my guys You know all they want to do nowadays? Them jokers want to come in the gym. They don't want to jump. They don't want to stretch. They want to get in the ring, start hitting the mitts or hitting sticks. Never said anything about teaching me how to move my head, teaching me how to catch a left hook, teaching me how to parry a jab when it's thrown at me. These are things are not being taught nowadays. These are things that need to be taught. Study these fighters just coming in and thinking that they can fight tomorrow and think they can make $5 million off of one fight. I had a guy come in the gym Tuesday and said to me, I want to turn pro. So I said to him, I said, how old are you? He said, I'm only 24. I said, how many amateur fights you had? 8? You had 8 amateur fights and you want to turn pro? Yeah, I think it's time for me to turn pro. All right, well, tell me why you want to turn pro and how many amateur fights have you had? Well, I didn't really have no amateur fights, but I know how to fight. Well, why you want to turn pro? What makes you think you can make a lot of money? Because I got 2 kids. Oh my God, because you got 2 kids, you think you can go in there and get $1 million now? You got and you Joker probably don't even know how to hold his hands. I ain't even asked him to show me anything. That's normally what I show him. That's what I normally tell people that come in the gym and say they want to box. I'll be like, yo, put your hands up. You got guys doing this, got guys doing this, got guys. Man, come on, man, stop playing.
What you think is more the Instagram going on? Too much of the IG, not listening to the OG.
I like that. That's the first time I heard that. Yes, sir. That's definitely what it is, and that's what a lot of people saying nowadays. Like, yo, I watch YouTube. You watch YouTube? Really? I mean, YouTube have some things on there that's presentable for you to do, but YouTube ain't showing you how to stay in shape. YouTube ain't telling you how many miles around. And what is it nowadays? Guys think that they'll be in shape if they do 30 minutes on a treadmill. Who the hell told you that?
One thing that I can assure you, and I can tell you, speaking from all the gyms I go to, all the media coverage, I feel like people. I get it. YouTube is a big help. It is a big help. But that's not something you could just do off your couch. Like, I get it. They present it to you easy. They make it look like, yeah, man, if you run 3-4 miles, but I even tell fighters, I was never a fighter, but I'm like, it's a difference between running on a treadmill and then running outside. There's a big difference.
Right.
Keep the ground, putting the ground behind you, then you keeping up with a treadmill. It's 2 different ball games. And then obviously I don't think of the hazardous of the sport, because it's dangerous at the end of the day. Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
I know the money may seem cool, but it's 1 out of 10 people that touch that kind of money in this sport, especially generational wealth that takes care of 2 to 3 families. Not everybody gets close to that wealth. You may make money to take care of yourself, but to take care of the 2 to 3 families, that's one of the hardest things, man. So one thing I wanted to ask you went in with a lot of greats, man. Talk to me about Julio Cesar Chavez, even though it was the end of the career. What was it like?
I know you was gonna say that, man.
I gotta ask.
That fight was like, it wasn't a grueling fight, but it was a real learning experience, because I put it to you like this: 2 things. One, you hear about it a lot, and then as a fighter, you say, "Oh man, it ain't never gonna happen to me, and I'm never gonna." You know how you always get. Well, I don't know. Have you ever boxed?
They ain't go pro like you, but I get in the gym.
But still, even you may know a little bit. It was to the point like I was really pretty much into my career. I mean, like, I was done, but I had a little kick in me. And the thing was, I had a guy named Joey Parmello. He's from Philly. He's a promoter. He known me since I was like 13. He watched my career. He actually even tried to who was it? I can't remember what promoter he was with, but I know he tried to get me with the promoter. And as my dad being my dad and him being in my career all my life, he pretty much guided my career to the point where I signed I decided to turn pro with my lawyers, and then I turned and signed with Eddie Woods, and then I got the I'm saying promotional deal, but it never happened with main events. But Chavez was about to fight in California, and he needed somebody to fight. I was in that position again, although I was later in my career. Um, and they told me that if I beat the kid that I was getting ready to fight, which was I never forget him because he was a cop from Philly. He was a real tough, rugged guy. And this was a guy. This is kind of when I really knew that the game was how the game was, and I found out about it later. This guy, Tyrone Flucker, was the guy that people would call to fight when they wanted to test where they was really at and if they could get to the next level, which I already been there, but I was still in the game. So they put him on me and they wanted to see if I could get by him. And if I could get by him, I was going to be able, the promoter was going to be able to give me a shot with Julio Cesar Chavez. They didn't tell me that until I think the week before the fight, that if I got past this guy, I would be able to get a fight with Chavez. So the fight happened with Chavez. What was real interesting about it, we beat him. We wanted to go to camp. We didn't want to stay in Philly. So what happened, Don Turner, who was Evander Holyfield's trainer, had a camp, or he lived out in North Carolina. And let me tell you how crazy this was. We was in North Carolina, man. And you know how we used to have to get to his house? We used to have to take a ferry and go 30 minutes from his house to the city. He had to put his car on the ferry for us to go to the city, to drive in the city.
Who? He got to put your car on a boat?
Yeah, nigga, on the
boat. Hey, man.
And then look, Don Turner was a great trainer, a world time trainer, great trainer with a big background accolade of the fighters that he had and he worked with. And his house, man, his house was so big, man. He had a gym inside his crib. And when we ran, we must have had to run about. His acre house had to be about, oh my God, it was so big. But when we ran from his house to the main road, that was already 4.5 miles getting there by running, not driving. That was running. And then we had to run another 3. Then we had to run another 3 miles. Man, when we used to run at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was about 80-something degrees out there already.
Country miles ain't no joke, man.
What? Man, it was crazy. But the fight with Chavez, man, it was a great fight. Yeah, I was like, my mind wanted to be there, but my body wasn't. I fought a great fight. I fought the biggest I ever fought in my career. I think I was like 147, 150, somewhere around there. Anybody and everybody that's seen the fight will tell you that I respected him too much. I gave him too much respect. But hey, like you said, man, I was fighting a legend. First of all, it was like I stuck my foot in my mouth because when they asked me about the fight and taking the fight, like I said, I'm from Philly. It didn't matter to me about who I was fighting. It didn't matter. But it mattered to me the night of the fight when they said his record. And I'll never forget it, man. This guy was 108 wins with 6 losses. And he had 88 knockouts. I couldn't believe I was standing across from that dude.
Hey, little starstruck, or it's like, that didn't up the motivation? Like, I wanna be on that list of the guys that defeated him.
What?
There's only several guys that defeated him, and De La Hoya did it twice. So it's really a number of hands. Not a lot of people could say they beat him. So
yeah, I mean, it was enthusing, and I was really excited about it, man. I really was like eager to fighting because I felt as though that I still had a little more youth in me to do what I needed to do to get by him and get past him. But it didn't matter. That California crowd wasn't letting me do it, man. I'll never forget it when we went out for the ring walk to the corner to get in the ring. Man, we had bottles, we had uh beer cans, we had soda cups, we had everything thrown at us on our way to the ring. Everything. And I'll never forget it when we walked out to the ring, and after we got to the ring and we was in there and we waited for Chavez to come out. I'll never forget it. Because Zach Pulmolio was the guy who made the fight. He had said to me, he was like, I want you to go out here, man, and give a show, man. And I turned around and I said to him, me and my dad, we was like, yo, if we win this fight, how the hell we gonna get out of here?
or
yeah,
if, or
yeah,
if I'm
yeah,
whooping ass and they don't give it to me, did I cross
yeah,
your mind also?
well, like I said, once the fight started and we started getting to the mix, I didn't really even think about too much about me beating him and me getting out of there. I didn't even think about me losing the fight. I just knew I was in a fight. And what really made me know that I was in a fight, because I think like I was always a guy that had great defense. I was always a guy with quick hands. So I looked at that as an advantage for me and a disadvantage to him because he was already old. They always tell you and they always say to you about fighters, especially a person like Chavez, Tyson, George Foreman, Roberto Duran, Julian Jackson, all the big knockout guys. They always tell you that when you get older, what goes in a fighter is his mobility, is his reflex, but his power never goes anywhere. And that's how I looked at it. I looked at it. You figured he got 88 knockouts. You figure a lot of his knockouts were probably came from guys that were, as they said, cab drivers, this, that, and other. But then again, many of his knockouts came from him being actually that good. So that was something that I was like kind of worried about, but then again, I wasn't worried about. But I tell you, man, when that Joker hit me with that left hook to the body, never been hit like that before a day in my life, except for when I got hit with that left hook by Gaddy in the 10th round of the first fight. Those are the only two shots that ever like the Chavez shot that hit me to the body. It kind of like paralyzed me because when he hit me, it kind of like froze me. When Gaddy hit me with that left hook up in the head, that shit just fucking put me in a whole different atmosphere.
Nah, I get it. So you obviously talk about all the things going on in Philly out of the streets. What advice you want to give to these youngins, man, that are boxing and they don't got that OG in their corner, just that person that could guide them? What are you trying to tell? What do you want to tell them? Some motivation for the youth. You've been on that pedestal. You've been a pro. You had a successful career. What's something that you want to pass down to the youth, man?
I just think that they just need to like listen, man. Just be correspondent. Listen to what the OGs, as you call me call myself, or I call the guys that's ahead of me. Listen to what we have to say. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think our OG would tell you anything wrong. I don't think the trainers would tell you anything wrong. Yeah, YouTube's out here. You have some guys out here doing things to make money crazy, like for instance, like what is it, Paul Jean or Jake Paul or whatever his name is. I mean, I'm not mad at him. I could never be mad at another man because he's doing something right. You know what I'm saying? He's doing something to better himself. But if this is something that you really want to do your homework, man. Learn what it is about the sport that really means the most. Just like when we kids and our mom sent us to school, we go to school to learn. And us learning, it has put us in the position we in. Like, I don't know what you do else besides this, but you're cool, you're comfortable, you're good, you love what you do. So with that saying, being a fighter, listen to what your trainer tell you. Listen to the old timers. I mean, just because they older don't mean they don't know what they're talking about. You trying to get where they are, where they once were. So in order for you to get where they once were, to listen. That's all. That's all I'm asking anybody to do, man. I ain't asking no. I'm not giving nobody no crazy instructions. I ain't trying to be bigger or better than nobody else. I feel as though that if you ask me something, my dad always told me. He told me this from day one when I really understood what he was saying. If I can't give a person the right formula, if I can't talk to them on the right path or put them on the right path, then there's no need for me to talk to them at all. If I can't tell you something that I think that's right, I'm not gonna tell you something wrong. I'm not gonna tell you to go out here and go get a gun and stick somebody up or get some money when I can just tell you to go to the nearest local store and fill out an application and try to get a job. You know what I'm saying? And for the fighters that make money, man, I've been through it, man. I know what it is. Save your money. Be smart. Don't go out here spending your money on things that you don't need to be spending your money on. I understand you want a house. I understand you want a car. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. I mean, do that. If that's true. And the most important thing is to take care of your parents, man, because your parents ain't gonna be here always. I I thank God that I still have my dad. I thank God I still have my mom. My dad is with me every day in the gym. I can call him tonight and talk to him about anything, and he gonna give me the right decision. And you can best believe I'm gonna take it.
Right.
So,
That,
that's just my
that's gold. That's always good to have, man. But
right.
I'll put you on the spot though, OG. I need your top
Hey
five
man,
pound for pound.
the top 5 pound.
Yeah, I need
See, that's crazy. When you say the top 5 pound for pound, do you really mean that? Because are you one of the ones that's telling me that you want me to give you my top 5 pound for pound when you talk about different decades? You talking about right now?
in today's
See,
because
there you go.
I interviewed. I'm probably gonna send you a clip of him. I got Honey Boy, Lou Duvall. He was a light
Okay, yeah, yeah,
light heavyweight champ, and
yeah,
he was just telling me how he don't really watch boxing today.
yeah.
I don't give a shit about boxing. I'm just in it because I'm good at it. I'm not in it to watch TV. I don't buy pay-per-view. I don't watch it. I don't give a shit. I just am proud of what I've done and I'm good at what I do.
Yeah, and you gotta understand that too. We guys, man, like for instance, for me, when I retired, I stayed at the gym for about 2 years. But it was just in me for me to be like, man, let me just walk to the gym and let me see what's going on in the gym. Let me see if there's anybody in here that really got something. And I just happened to walk into the gym and I was going to the same gym for a week. And what was crazy about it, I kept seeing this man and his son, the dad bringing his son to the gym every day, and his son was doing the same exact thing I was doing when I was little, coming in the gym, hitting the bag, running around the gym, hitting the bag, running around the gym. Dad, I want to go home. Dad, I want to go home. Oh, no, my dad, I want to hit the bag, run around again. So, you know, ah. You say top 5, I'm gonna give you top 5. But see, that's crazy because my top 5 could be the same guys in the same weight division.
Hey, so then you got people that got half the welterweight. I saw Andre Ward got Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford number 1 and 2. So
Yeah,
that's why I
yeah.
like to ask, because I like to see where everybody's point of view is at, because that lets me know usually what do you watch in boxing. Are you a guy that watches from 147 and under, or do you got your specific divisions that you like to watch? it's good. You know, it's good to nitpick the brain. So I like to always watch everybody's time, pound for pound list because it lets me know who they watch.
Now, do it have to go in order or just top 5?
It lets me know. It lets me know what you into now.
Okay. All right. Of course. I mean, and it's probably no different than whoever you talk to. My number one guy definitely is going to be Jerron Ennis.
All right.
Number two is going to be Tank Davis. Number 3. It's kind of hard. I'm gonna say Shakur Stevenson. I'm gonna go with 2 guys that I know don't nobody got them in the top 5, but I'm putting these 2 in my top 5. I'm going with my man Caleb Plant.
Hey man, hey, I gotta stop you right there. They not giving him a chance against Benavidez. I like both fighters. I don't know what it is. I don't like.
And you watch boxing a lot. I'm gonna go with this kid right here, man. I really like this kid. Actually, I know him real well. Latif.
So you see, you got an interesting. You got the youth, you got the fighters in their prime. So it depends. Some people like the established fighters that already got the goal. So you got a good list. You got the young up and coming guys, mostly the guys from your area, Philly, DC, Newark. I get it. I respect it. It's cool.
That's what you know what? Man, you just meet each other and I'm cool with that. And I love the fact that we're gelling, but you bullshit, man. You gonna get out this line and be like, coach, you'll be like, man, Mighty,
You'll be surprised. I saw a lot of people's pound for pound. I was like, way different. Because you gotta understand, this is a solo man sport. So everybody's gonna have a different choice. Everybody's gonna have something different. It's not a defense, offense type of game. It's one guy. Even if the coaches is great, coaches don't make the pound for pound. It's the fighter. So
right.
It's a good thing. But yo, Ivan, I appreciate your time, OG.
No problem.
Hope everything is well. We'll catch up soon. We could do some work.
Okay.
Hope everything is well with the family. And I'll see you soon, big brother.
All right. Thanks, champ.
Anytime, man.
All right. 1.